Good morning. This is the second interview of our series for Pope newsletter, Permanent Observatory for Public Engagement, which is a part of a Trigger project. And today we talk with Roberto Verganti, Professor of Leadership and Innovation at the School of Management for Politecnico di Milano, where he directs the Leading Lab, the Laboratory for Leadership, Design and Innovation. Roberto's research focuses on how leaders and organizations create meaningful innovations. Good morning, Roberto.
Good morning.
In few words, what is it, what is its purpose, and how it will work?
Good morning. First of all, Cocteau is a tool and it's an approach to enable policymakers to engage citizens in their decision processes. And the main user will be everyone who want to engage large communities in decision making for addressing the complex challenges of our society, mainly policymakers, but it can be used by anyone who's interested in understanding the wishes and the desires of large communities, individuals in large communities, understand also detailed information about possible behavior that people could have when you build a scenario, and address the variety and heterogeneity of information that individuals have in large communities. So the idea is to leverage the power of digital technologies to do this, and a few perspectives that we are studying that come from design and search for meaning people.
Okay, thank you. Oops, I have some problem with computer. Oh, it works. And so next question actually about internet and public engagement. So we see that recently that internet is increasingly showing a dark side by fragmenting the public discourse. Anyone can present a certain view, it's very easy to do, and anyone can attract a like-minded audience, resulting in a balkanization of perspectives that can be easily exploited by populist ideologies, scaling ignorance and fakefulness on the World Wide Web. So what we see is the opposite, like we see fakefulness instead of factfulness. So it entails opinions formed out of fake news instead of factual evidence, and increasingly complicated policy implementation, as the old technocratic and top-down approaches are now more easy to legitimate against the public. Trigger will focus on public engagement and new ways for enabling more collaborative models of democracy, citizens' engagement, and public discourse, designing new tools for this purpose. But we really wonder how you would describe the ambition of Cocteau in this respect, with this problem of internet and this dark side of internet.
The challenge is considerable, is relevant. That is why we are doing this through a project, because this is really, we are trying to break the frontier of what can be possible. As always, when you have new technologies like the internet, there is a moment of enthusiasm, that there is a classic curve of hype. So there is a moment of great enthusiasm. So even in policy making, that was quite interesting, and engagement. So there was an illusion that you could engage easily people in policy making through direct deliberation. Then you discover the dark side, as we are doing now. So there is a moment of dismay and loss of faith on the capability and technology you can have. But then you restart again in a more serious way. So we hope that we are restarting now again from a more serious way. Technologies have, in this case, and the digital technology have a fantastic potential to engage people. What we know, first of all, and what we, for example, in Cocteau, we don't want to do, is to imagine digital technology like a mean of direct deliberation. It's not this. We are not thinking about creating a tool that enables people to vote or decide, but simply a mean that enable people to participate, to share what they think, and build scenarios around this. The challenge that we have is to do it in a way that it attracts everyone, not certain segments of society, but everyone, which is unfortunately not what's happening nowadays in social media. You know that the most active people typically have a very polarized view, and those who have a view that is in between the polarization simply do not participate. So we, in a way, we believe that the internet is creating a polarization of people. In reality, the main phenomenon is that it's simply replicating the voice of those who are at the extremes. those people are always been there. It's
Okay.
those who are in the middle that are not participating. So it seems that the internet is polarized simply because those who are in the middle, they are not extreme in their position, simply don't feel the need to express their expression. So in reality, what we see today is a quite significant minorities in a way. It's still in a way that the debate that you can see on social media is still not being able to engage everyone, or at least a sample of people that reflect the sample of society. So what the challenge we have in Cocteau is how do you get there into the middle and not only into the extremes. And to do this, you need to do it in a way that is easy. It's easy for people to participate. So you attract not only those who have time to be there, which typically is the people who is extremely polarized, but people that they just have a few moments to express what they feel, and now they do it, and in a way that is maybe playful, maybe engaging. We need to find a way to really replicate into Cocteau the entire spectrum of what is outside in society. This would be a quite significant challenge.
And I think actually the next question describes even more challenging phenomena. In a recent book from Bobby Duffy, The Perils of Perception, we saw that the level of people misperception of real facts is very high for almost any context or topic. It is not only ignorance, that they simply do not know something, but it's more about misperception coming from the way we think. So the book describes this phenomena that we have unseen algorithms and our own selection biases which create our own individual realities. And especially in the question involving emotions, such as the obesity level, vaccination, immigration level, the percentage of Muslims in the country. And this book shows that we tend to underestimate or overestimate those depending on what emotions one have about it. It was very interesting because for each of these criteria which I described, the obesity level, vaccination, immigration level, percentage of Muslims, the difference is so huge between what people think the level is and what is the reality. For example, asking the question out of every 100 people in your country about how many are Muslim, in France, average guess is 31%, and the reality is only 7% and a half. The interesting thing is that the studies in this book show that providing the facts with numbers do not always help and often lead even to contrary effects, that people are getting even more convinced of the wrong answer than they had before. These create problems for evidence-based policy and public support to research and innovation in Europe. Can Cocteau help to solve these problems, and how? With reference to the EU research and innovation actions and more generally the European policy deliberation and regulation process.
Yeah. This is a very good point. First of all, on the perils of perception, social media, especially artificial intelligence, tend to be what technically is called a positive feedback mechanism. Positive feedback means that it's self-reinforcing. So if you start believing that there are many Muslims, of course you will search for information that proves this fact, and the algorithms capture what you're searching for, and therefore they keep proposing you things that you are searching for. So they are self-reinforcing what you're doing. If you believe that there are few, of course, that you look for information, whether it's Muslim, mature, and you get information, and increasingly you get there. So this is one of the reasons why we perceive this polarization, because the algorithms themselves tend to reinforce what we see. They're designed like, but they're explicitly designed like this. They tend to show us what we are searching for and what we like.
What they call targeted communication.
Exactly.
Right?
So it's targeted, but given it starts from us, if I start with a bias, the bias will be necessarily reinforced always, because the algorithm is designed to reinforce the bias. It's not because it's evil, because there is behind the idea that if you're searching for something, I tend to show you what you're searching for. So in a way, we need to take away the thing that there is some kind of conspiracy there. It simply is designed in part, because if you're searching for shoes, the algorithm show you shoes. If you're searching for information about how many people is killed in the street, and it is a disaster, the argument will keep showing you only there's information of the others. So it's self-reinforcing bias. So it's basically the algorithm reinforce what is called fixation problem. You get fixated on what you think, you don't move out of that. There are ways, however, to counterbalance this. What we want to do in Cocteau, first of all, the idea we are still at the beginning. We are really, really early in the project. We just started, but what we are thinking about, first of all, a session in which people can test their knowledge of the subject. For example, so for example, we can ask a person and say, which kind of percentage represent the amount of people with, I don't know, with a degree, with a post-laureate degree in Europe, and then people can guess, and oh my God, there are so many researchers, and oh, there are no researchers in Europe, and then they say what they think, and then we give them the number. So there is an initial part in which it's not we give them numbers so that they know, but it's more it's the other way around. It's a little quiz, it's a little trivia. There is a trivia part because we will never provide the entire information to people that is necessary to take a decision. It's impossible. But at least some trivia that makes people understand how much they are confident about the subject. So if you try, you see that you never make it, it means, okay, I understand, maybe I missed some information here, and it's fine. Citizens don't need to be experts in things. We cannot compensate the problem with lack of facts by giving people the right number. First, because it's very difficult to find out the right numbers, and second, because we cannot overwhelm people with information. But at least to let them understand that, okay, the decision I'm taking now, the opinion I'm expressing, they're definitely based on information I don't have. I know, I'm aware, I don't know something, or I believed I knew something, but it's not true. So this part in trivia is just to raise awareness and also set the stage. Okay, we need to accept that empowering people in a way and engaging people necessarily means to talk to non-experts on some subject. Citizens are experts on the daily life. This is the reason why we want to engage them. We want to add the information they have about what does it mean, what kind of behavior they see in the street. So this is one of the way we want to do in Cocteau. Another way is that the best way to engage people is try to combine digital and physical situations. Still, we know that physical communication is totally different. The way you talk to a person physically is completely different than the way you talk to a keyboard. There is an interesting example that happened before the European election by the Financial Times. The Financial Times asked people to answer a few questions before the European election. Everyone who wanted to do it. And then they created a profile of people. And then they simply, what they did, they connected two different persons in Europe that had two different profiles in contrast and say, guys, you know, if you're available, you need to say I'm available, of course. They put these two people in contrast, say, why don't you just, you know, just meet somewhere if you want spend time, or just do a Skype call and have a conversation around the European election. So you can use the digital technologies to understand what people do, but also you can create digital technology to connect people.
And what was the result of this experiment? How did it end up?
It's still not, the data are not available, but because it is quite recent. So, but I like the idea of combining digital and physical, and especially combining people with different opinion and talk to each other, and let's see what happens. So this is another thing we want to do in Cocteau. So using digital technology not only to capture what people see, but also to simply connect people and reflect together. The physical part is still very, very important.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And we actually logically come into the next question on public empowerment, because we talk about public engagement, but also public empowerment is a part of it. Despite widespread agreement that empowerment is a worldwide object, there is still little understanding of what it is exactly. So it looks very fancy, but no one can describe what is it exactly, how it manifests itself, and how the empowerment process can be developed. We can say at least that empowering people is more than engaging them, insofar as it implies giving them a real power to influence the policy or research agendas to steer them toward their needs. And we took actually quite a classical work of Mary Parker Follett, one of the pioneers of empowerment theory. And she described the empowerment more for business structure, for organization. And she's saying that empowerment requires basically three things: good quality of information exchange, high degree of expressed trust between two, and confidence that the outcomes of the engagement process will be truly considered in the decision-making process. Do we have necessary conditions, and can Cocteau help to empower people, at least in relation to the EU research and innovation agenda?
Well, empowerment is a very complicated word. I can tell what we see from the perspective of Cocteau. What we are doing is that we in Politecnico, we are basically a design school. Politecnico is a technical university, and we have been studying and practicing design thinking for a long time. We know that people get engaged by using design, which means people get engaged not only by listening, but by designing, by doing things, by imagining, for example, a new scenario. So we will use design in Cocteau as a philosophy, as a process, especially design applied to the direction of things. So you know that people get engaged when they can reflect not only the solution, but why we are doing what we are doing. Design is a great advantage. The design is structurally empowered in the sense that design is focused on action, is focused on doing projects. What we will not do in terms of empowerment is empowerment in terms of deliberation. This is definitely the direction we don't want to take. So Cocteau is not meant to enable people to be sure that what they will do is part of the agenda, or it's done to engage them in a conversation and understanding what can be done. But the responsibility of the decision still rests into those who have the responsibility of the decision. In the case of policymakers which have been elected democratically. So you cannot imagine that there is a space where there is democracy, there are elections, there is a parliament, and then there is a separate mechanism where people participate digitally and their decision change what is deliberated in a parliament. There was experiment already. There have been a big experiment in Iceland like this, but it doesn't work. And luckily enough, it doesn't work. We have very fantastic democratic processes that lead to the election of policymaker and deliberation. So empowerment to me means listening to what people think and how they will act in different scenarios, prepare them for what will happen to come. And empowerment means that many people can act directly without the action of policymakers. I mean, when we talk about the challenge of sustainability, the challenge of sustainability can be addressed by new regulations, but the parameter of sustainability can be addressed by engaging people so that when they do their daily activities, they are more sustainable. That's empowerment. Empowerment doesn't mean to empower citizens to set the agenda for policymaking, but is to have everyone in a society co-participate in the direction that we decide to take. Everyone is his own space. So the policymaker do the regulation and the citizen do their recycling when they need to do it. This is a very important fact because we will never solve the problem of society just by regulation. So that's the reason why engagement is important, because we need to engage people, not since only because, and this is why we created Cocteau, is not only to listen to what citizens are interested for, but also to really engage them into action. Everyone is in our space. We use a concept which is called texturing, and texturing comes from design, and it's really of course, policymakers or whoever is a decision maker propose a possible scenario, because it's very complicated to build a scenario from the bottom up completely. But then citizens can participate and do texturing. Texturing means it's exactly what we do with computer or when we draw. There is a basic drawing, but then I go there and I change it and I modify. I do some texturing. So I can't imagine that as individual citizen has the capability to build a whole scenario. Also because then we will never converge into a shared scenario. But we start from a scenario, and then citizens, through the power of design, make some texturing there. By this simply adding a little part where they can be, because they're the space of expertise, then they can really be engaged and act on reality. So this is very important. Digitalization shouldn't be a substitute for the democratic process. Digitalization with the engagement of citizens is engaging people for the space of action that they have, because there they have the information, which policymakers don't have. And that's the space where they can provide them most helpful support.
Thank you, Roberto. Very clear. That actually was our last question. Thank you very much. Very interesting conversation.
And I hope we have further conversation and further interview later. And for everyone is interesting, just contact us. We are really exploring new ways. So we still don't have the answer yet at the beginning. So everyone who wants to be connected and contribute and reflect together, we are definitely open.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And this was a part of our newsletter, so it will be also interesting to confront your view on this with some articles we prepared for the newsletter on the same arguments of misperception, of public empowerment. Then also we gave in our newsletter a few articles on some tools of engagement, such as theory and liberating structures. So probably we're inviting all our audience to read the newsletter, to see this interview on the website of Trigger Project.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Roberto. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.